Hello! Hi, new year, new opportunity to experience the joy of reading books. Now there's one problem that I always have and that I think a lot of people can relate to, and that is that I never feel like I'm really getting to read all the books that I want to be reading. So we're gonna fix that by making a plan and doing a little bit of organizing. In this video, I'm going to be making the perfect reading list for 2023, and I will show you how I do it so it can also help you make your own reading list and help you get organized for the new reading year. You can already see a little bit of a sneak peek of the books that we're going to talk about down there in this little corner, but first step, of course, is that we need to write down our organization and start making a plan. So let's go! I have a cup of tea. Let's plan! If you know me at all, you know that I use a note-taking app called Notion to do all of my organizing for everything in my life. For example, I have this page where I organize all of my reading. And I've been using Notion to organize my life for years now, so I am super excited to share that this video is actually also sponsored by Notion. So I will give you a little bit of a tour of how I use my Notion page to organize my life and also how I organize it for books and reading, and then we will make a page for creating our reading list for 2023. Let me show you my homepage. I call it my headspace. Notion is a super easy to use platform that I use to write down everything that I need. Having everything in one place like this has given me so much peace of mind. You can completely customize it to your own needs and drag and drop everything and add cute little pictures. I used these little froggies and made it a little bit nature themed, so I can look at this and think, am I living the way these frogs are? If no, I need to change something. So just some examples of things that I keep track in my Notion page. When I was still a student, I organized all of my university work here. And I also have a planner of all of my YouTube videos. Spoilers. But of course, let me show you my books page. I've made it look nice with these little headers and cute little GIFs, and you can create endless pages within pages. So I have a page where I wrote down every book that I read in 2022. You can make this as intricate and complex as you would like, but I like to keep it simple. I have a page where I linked a song to every book that I read in 2021. I keep track of all of my series that I'm reading. And these are my bookish trend predictions for 2023. You can also very easily make tickable boxes. So if I buy a book, I tick it off, and I can very easily add another book to the list and then tick it off if I buy it. Now, if we scroll down, we have my reading list. This is the main thing. And what I love about Notion is that there are so many options for how you want to display the information that you have. So here I chose to display a board view where each book becomes this little card that I can drag and drop. For example, I'm currently reading Hellbent, but if I finished it, I can easily drop it to read. And you can also click on it and then add more information. And you can completely customize it however you want. So I've decided to add things for author. I can write down that it's written by Leigh Bardugo. I've created a property for genre. It is a thriller and a fantasy, I would say. And I can also write here my little notes. For example, I think the book starts a bit slow. And then I will always have this information neatly right here with all of the books that I've read. But now let's make a page for our 2023 reading goals. Just gonna add it in here, / add a page. 2023 reading goals. Let's make it look cute. Just trying to find the right picture from Pinterest. Yes, I like this. Cute. Let's add a nice quote. Change the color. Pink. I like that. And if you want to share this page with a friend, you can. So for example, if you want to make a buddy read page, you can just add a friend's email here, and then you have a shared page where you can completely customize it to your needs. So what I like to do is kind of sketch out everything that I want on this page. So I want my goals, I want my to be read, maybe some new releases, maybe write down books I already own. Okay, this is kind of a setup of what it's going to be. And now we're gonna fill it in throughout the rest of the video. So what are you waiting for? Start planning your new year with Notion, completely free. I will put the link in the description. And thank you for Notion for sponsoring this part of the video. Okay, step 2, setting our goals. This could, of course, be a number. Maybe your goal is to read 20 books a year or 1 book a week. I am personally a big fan over qualitative goals over quantitative goals. So, for example, ask yourself, what do you really love about reading? What do you want to get more out of the books that you are reading? So, for example, one of my books is to read more books that make me learn something new. I also want to find more favorite books. So generally those are books with a lot of atmosphere, dark vibes, fairy tale vibes. And then actually read the books I already own, because I have a lot of unread books on my shelves. Okay, and now that we have created our goals for the new year, we can start looking at books that we haven't read yet and see which ones fit our goals. Let's do it. New corner of the room. Now that we kind of have our goals, we can start taking a look at the books that we still want to read and decide which ones to prioritize based on those goals. So there are 3 places that I keep books that I want to read. Of course, the unread books that are already on my shelf. 2, I keep a list on my phone every time I come across a book that I'm interested in. And then I also have a folder on TikTok where I save books that I come across on TikTok, which I'm a little afraid to share because I don't really know what kind of weird things I just put in that folder. It was never meant to be seen by other people. That's what I'm trying to say. But let's just begin with the books that I haven't read yet, but that I do already own. Let's deconstruct this pile of broken promises one by one. I'm seeing 2 nonfiction books that fit into my goal of reading a little bit more nonfiction that also aren't too long, that I know I want to read this year. Ooh, dusty. This one I did actually already start. It is The Symposium and the Death of Socrates by Plato. I've been trying to read this forever, and then every time I don't really get to it because I don't prioritize it. But we will this year. And then we have Women Race Class by Angela Davis, which I think is a great way to get a little bit more feminist literature in. These books are all great too, but not in a way that I'm like, I need to read these right now, this year, or I will never be happy. We have a small batch of fantasy books here. Fantasy books generally, I think I already say about these fantasy books is that, of course, I want to read these, but not in a way that I'm like, I really want to prioritize them. If I read these next year, that's fine too. Exceptions, however, include The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, because The Night Circus was my favorite book of 2021. Logic demands that I read her other book if I want to be reading books that I think are going to be my favorites. That's just simple math. And then a little insight in a video that's coming up. I really want to know what the hype is all about around cozy fantasy that everyone seems to be talking about. So I'm gonna do a little dive into it, and I have here The House of the Cerulean Sea and Legends and Lattes, both fantasy books that have been dubbed cozy fantasy, low stakes fantasy, very wholesome, very nice. So if I ever feel like I'm laying at the bottom of a pit of despair, I think I should have these books ready. Let's see what we have over here. This is a cute romance book, but romance books are rarely ever on like a priority list. It's just like I'll read them if I want to. Ooh, Slewfoot. I've seen a lot of people who this has become like a favorite for, and I do love myself a good book that's creepy. Illustrations. Do I want to prioritize this one this year? Yes, because this is one of those books that really sounds like it's super up my alley and it's gonna be really my thing. And so I'm gonna prioritize that. Woo! We are prioritizing ourselves this year. As a fan of the Grishaverse and Leonie, I will of course read this one, which is the graphic novel of the short story written by Leonie about the Darkling and his backstory. So I will be reading this for sure. I definitely want to make sure that I've read this before the new season of Shadow and Bone comes out. So excited. And then the last stack of books. Ooh, yes. Oh, I think I should prioritize this. Oh, I finally have a copy of Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, which for years I have thought that this was going to be a new favorite book of mine, a new favorite YA fantasy. And maybe because of those high expectations, I still haven't read it, but now I finally have a copy of it because I got it for Christmas at a Secret Santa. I have a video about that if you want to watch that. So thank you. The Queen of Nothing. I want to finish the Folk of Air trilogy before The Stolen Heir comes out, the new Holly Black fairy novel. I am kind of a big fan of Holly Black now. And then these last three books, they all also seem really cool. Do I want to prioritize? In the spirit of getting a little bit outside of my comfort zone, I will prioritize this one, Serious Concerns by Wendy Cope, which is a poetry collection, and it contains one of my favorite poems ever, which doesn't really mean a lot coming from me given the fact that I rarely read any poetry, but it is The Orange by Wendy Cope. So let me read some poetry next year. Oh boy, this is already way too big of a stack. Oof. Okay, these are actually exactly 10 books, so that means we are one step closer to reading the books that we already own instead of just continuously buying new ones. Speaking of buying new books, now the next thing to look at, where's my phone? Oh, here it is. We're gonna scroll through the list that I have of books that I really want to read that I don't own yet. But let's get a little more comfortable, shall we? Come close, come close. Okay, we're gonna go to my reading list, which was the list of books that I just keep every time I go into a bookstore, or I watch a booktube video, or I hear one of my friends talk about a book that sounds really interesting. I just throw it into this list. So let's go through it, because honestly I don't really look at it that often. Let's start at the bottom. Man, there's a lot of books. Oh, I don't even own Night Film anymore. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through this list and stop at every book that fits one of our reading goals. Ooh, The Left Hand of Darkness is by Ursula K. Le Guin, and I really want to read more of her, but I've kind of been putting it off because The Dispossessed, although super interesting in its ideas, was a little bit boring, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna have the same thing with her other books. But I know The Left Hand of Darkness really explores the concept of like a society where gender is looked at in a completely different way, and I think I would find that so interesting. So you know what? Let's just put it on the list. Sister Outsider is another one of those classic feminism non-fictions that I just really want to get to. Why is Frankenstein on here? I've already read that. Oh, there's one more book that I kind of forgot to show you guys. Here. A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf is another kind of older, so maybe not as relevant, but still, you know, interesting to read about non-fiction by Virginia Woolf about how a woman needs a room of one's own and money if she is to write. And I want to read this one too, so we're gonna put that on this pile as well of the books I already own that I want to read. Oh, there are so many books that I wrote down. I can never read all of these in 1 year. Yes, okay, I see 2 books that are very up my alley. Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. The movie adaptation is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I feel like I should read the book. Simple as that. And then A Dowry of Blood, which has so many fantastic reviews, and it finally got traditionally published because it was originally self-published, which means I can now finally get my hands on it here in the Netherlands as well. It's about the wives of Dracula. It's gothic fiction. I think it's up my alley. And here we get all the books that I recently added. Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke is set, I think it's pretty short, and everyone I know that has read this is raving about it. I think these are non-fiction, these are his real letters about living life and being young and having creative endeavors and living your life to your true self. And that sounds like something I need to hear right now. Then I really want to get to the books by Ava Reed, so that is Juniper and Thorn and The Wolf and the Woodsman, which a lot of you guys have recommended to me, and then I didn't listen to that because I was like, well, they don't really get super great reviews on Goodreads, as in like the average rating is not that high, but I should know by now that that shouldn't stop me because some of my favorite books don't have that high ratings on Goodreads. So these books are supposed to be kind of dark, foresty, fairy tale-esque stories. Belladonna is a gothic romance, so yes. Nettle and Bone, another one of those dark forest fairy tale-esque stories. And I know the author T. Kingfisher is like award-winning, so again, sounds like it's up my alley. And then we have Plain Bad Heroines. I kind of forgot what that was about. Oh right, this was also kind of a dark academia gothic story. I think 2023 is going to be the year I read all of the gothic books. Yes! Ah, I can already see it happening. This is another one of those books that I haven't really been picking up because it gets very mixed reviews, even though a lot of you guys have been recommending it to me, telling me that I would really enjoy it. So I think I want to give this one a try. As if we don't already have enough books that I want to read right now, we're gonna have to do some serious cutting soon. Let's go through my TikTok saved videos in my folder, book recommendations. I've been thinking of getting into fantasy romance, so that's why I saved this one. Not sure if I want to prioritize it though. I do love me some weird feminist books. See, this is where I found Plain Bad Heroines. I think that's where this one comes from. Oh, I saved this one because oh. Yeah. Fantasy books where the villain gets the girl. Part 7. Wow, there's so many of these apparently. Oh no. You know, I think I no longer trust this person's recommendations. I think this is where I also found out about Gothgana. Oh right, yeah, I feel like this is what I need. That's the one. That's one that I want to read. Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton, which I know is supposedly like the essay collection about being in your 20s and navigating life. If you had a crush on this guy, and this guy, yes, then this book's for you. We've seen this one before in another video. I'm gonna give this one a try. I'm gonna give it a try. Do I need to prioritize it? Maybe not, but I'm gonna give it a try. Yes! I think this one might fall into the category of books that I think are really up my alley. Yes. Okay, I will give this book a try. Books that feel like Wednesday. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't even seen the show, but I like the vibe of it, so that's why I saved this one. Another T. Kingfisher book. Plain Bad Heroines again. Another Ava Reed. I've read this and liked it, and that's why I thought that these would be good recommendations. And this one, this one I saved because I thought that it would be funny if I read one of these monster romances for a video. So, who knows if that will ever come or not, but I will not prioritize it. Okay, back to the drawing board. Okay, we're back. I changed the fonts to fit the pixel art and also took the liberty to write down every single book that I own at this moment that I haven't read, just so that through the year I can kind of cross them out as I read them. So this is an easy way to make sure I keep to this goal, actually read the books I already own. Now the last step before we finally create our reading list for 2023 is just take a quick look at new releases. Just a quick overview. So obviously one that I'm the most excited about is The Last. This is February 14th, The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshni Chokshi, who's one of my favorite authors. so obviously I have to read it. It is her adult gothic fantasy story. Of course, we have the sequel to Ninth House, Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo. And the new, oh, it's only a duology? Aw, that's sad. Anyway, of course, the new Folk of the Air book. This one's already out. I'll read Happy Place by Emily Henry if the reviews are good. I would say for now, these are the only ones that I'm very specifically looking forward to. Okay, let's see what the damage is. I think this is the moment where we say let's be reasonable and think about how many books do you actually think you're going to be able to read and how many of those do you want to set in stone. I can read between 30 and 50 books a year, and I want there to be some wiggle room, of course. I think I want to make a list of 20 books that I genuinely want to prioritize. Okay, after a lot of consideration, I ended up being able to bring it down to 21 books that I really want to prioritize, and the other ones I added to my general TBR reading list. And the reason I did that and really stuck to that list of 20 books is because I want to make sure I don't end up buying books that I then will not have the time to read. So that's why I think it's a really good idea to make a realistic priority list, and then maybe through the year, if I'm reading a lot of these, I can add more books to them, add more new releases that I'm excited about if I hear about them. And then hopefully, you know, at the end of the year, this list of all the books that I own will be crossed out. Probably not, but a girl can dream. And hey, I'm currently reading Hellbent and The Queen of Nothing, so I'm already working towards my goals. Okay, that was a lot of planning. I kind of want to know, am I the only one that does planning like this? Do you do any planning like this, and how do you do it? Let me know. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see me actually read these books and follow me as I read these books. Thank you again so much for watching. I know there's a lot of new people here, so I'm really happy that you're here and spending this time with me. It's been really great. I'm very grateful for you all. I hope you all have a wonderful year ahead, whether you achieve your goals or not. You know, I just want you guys to have a good year. Everyone deserves a good year. That being said, I'm happy that you were here, and I will see you again next week. Goodbye.